Hello and welcome to another Barn Automotive YouTube episode, and we are back with the LS3 Granada. I have got a little bit carried away and did some stuff about recording it, but I will run you through exactly what I have done, and then the rest of getting the engine in, I will show you the process, all of it. So if we go around to the front, engine bay. I have already cut out all the shrouding at the front. You see some surface rusting on that plate and down there. We need to sand that back and get all of the inside here coated. What else have I done? Oh yeah, the subframe notch. So you see it there. That is notched with, what was it, 3.5mm steel plate, and then the underside is also reinforced with 3.5 steel plate the whole way over. So it is super strong, it's not going anywhere. For where the engine mounts will go, I can see, you see where I still need to grind the old weld off there. I have cut the old engine mount plate off because it's, well, I don't think it was at the right angle, and I was just going to put a new one on anyway. But I have left the old supports because that makes it easy. We can just weld the plate onto the subframe and then use the original supports to make it stronger and weld them to that as well. That's the same on both sides. What else is there? We still have all the auxiliary power to things like the lights, window wipers, horn. You can see here I have run the new loom, so your fuse box and ECU I've done on the inside that will go up on the passenger side underneath the dashboard, and then the old fuse box is still there, and on that fuse it's only your auxiliary things like lights and such. So we're getting there. I will show you what I have made for the radiator to get that in place. For the radiator, we are very tight on space. This is how it will basically be mounted in. So this is a bracket that I've made. It bolts to the fan shroud, and then it's got a right angle on the bottom that sits under it. And then this will slot up in here like this. And will sit like that on a slight angle. And then we just have enough room to fit the two fans on the back. But the fans only go in once the engine is in, so the engine goes in first with the radiator in place. Then I have the two fans. I've notched the bottom bits that the bolts go over because I need to slide it in. I can't put it in, there's not enough space. So then that goes on the back of the radiator like that. The other one sits there. And that is how this will be set up. If I show you here, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do about the filler cap location, because when it's mounted on the bracket, this is right up against this. Now I either just notch a section out of this, or I cut the whole piece out and make a bolt-in section that you then remove when you want to fill this. Someone else said to me, why don't you have like a overfill tank? The reason why I don't want to do that is because I want to keep the engine bay clean, so that all we have is the brake servo, the battery, and then we will make some plates that come down and basically cover everything, so that all you have exposed is the engine and everything else will be covered. Because of that, maybe I could put an overflow tank, but I just don't like them. I like it to be clean, and this is clean, and it kind of looks very racy with an angled radiator. But again, you won't see it because the grill clips in there, pretty much covers everything. So that is where I am at. Yeah, next is put the engine in. The engine mounts are bolted to the engine already. I need to raise it up, put it back in, and then these mounting box section things, don't know what you call them, engine mounts to the subframe. These need welding to the subframe, and then yeah, so I will lower the engine in, then bolt these onto the engine mounts on the engine, and then see where they sit on the subframe, mark it, weld a piece of flat plate to the subframe for this to then sit on, and then weld these onto that. Very hard to see from here. Down there you can see the sump is in the notch, and we have not much room there, but enough. We're not going to foul on anything. This is what I'm talking about with the clearance between the radiator and the front of the engine. We are going to be moving back a tiny bit, but not much. But yeah, this is how it's going to sit in there. So this is what I mean by we'll have plates coming out from here and then probably blank off around there, and it will just cover. This will then be flat, and it will cover all the sides so that you're just left with this LS3 poking out in the middle, which will look fairly cool. But yeah, tight package. Let me see if I can show you with a fan on. And this is it with the fans on. So you can see it's very close to the pulleys, but it won't interfere with the belt line. So we're okay there. And even if the engine's wobbling side to side, it's not going to foul on it. So we should be good there. Yeah, so now I will bolt the engine mounts to the box section for mounting these two onto the rubbers here, see where they line up there. You can kind of see it's going to come to here, so there'll be a piece of plate that comes out with that as the support, and they will go in there. Now you see how I'm doing it. This is the box section for the engine rubber mounts that they bolt to. So they're now bolted together, and then I need to cut a piece of plate that goes across the subframe, across these supports, and then out here so that this can be welded to it. And the same on this side. There's the best place to see it. So it just needs plate put behind it to be able to weld it. So I cut that out now. Then we weld that piece of plate into place, and then we can weld the engine mounts in. I do one last check with the measurements to make sure we're right. We're at 4 degrees on this at the minute with the lean. Need to make sure that we're running straight and not wonky. We are a little bit to the right at the minute, but once that is done, let's weld it in place. I think we still need to go a tiny bit further back, like there, and then we're good. We still have room to reach the vacuum for the brake servo there, and the cooling line is down the back there. I just need to check we're not squashing that one down there, and if we aren't, then we're good there. So I will get those plates cut out, and then weld them in. So you see the backing plate here. I cut the original supports off because they didn't come out long enough to actually support that. And then there's the mount and the rubbers there. So what I will do is I will tack these to the plate. And the same on this side. Tack this to the plate. This one needs an extra plate pin on the top. And then remove the engine with the mounts still in place. I will show you them once the engine's out so you can see them properly. And then it's weld the whole thing in, weld the back supports, weld that top plate. Loads of welding, and then put it back in. We are kind of, it's hard for you to see with everything in the way. So you can see right now the engine is just a tiny bit that way, but I can even that out afterwards on the mounts once they're welded because it is only marginal. We are at 3.5 degrees angle, which is good. And if I am honest, I don't think I'll be getting the transmission in this episode, because it looks like there is going to have to be a tunnel, a new transmission tunnel made to actually get this transmission to fit in the back. But once these mounts are in, I will then lift it up for the first time without this crane on it, and then I can get the transmission under on the transmission stand and line it up and see how it looks. But in all honesty, it's quite a big bell housing. So compared to the original, which is just over there on the floor, that's a lot smaller than this. Here they are clearly for you to see, the two mounts. Your rubber sits in these, and then yeah, so you have the mount, the backing plate, and then what I will do is make the supports that come here to make this stronger so it doesn't sag. Yeah, so now I need to weld them fully. They're just tacked. Once they are welded and reinforced and finished, we can put the engine back in and see if the transmission fits. It's the first time this is now in the car without the crane holding it up, or there is a chock of wood behind it on the subframe to stop it from tilting all the way back. But so it will sit like that in the end. But now we can put it up and fit the transmission stand under it to see how extensive the tunneling is going to have to be. So let's have a look. Here you can see how far off we are. So this hole here needs to be the locator pin for that, and in actual fact, when the engine is sat at about 3 degrees, that is where it will sit. So we're quite far off. We may make it without having to tunnel the upper part. So this section, we still have, I don't think we have enough room. I'm being hopeful, but this definitely needs to go. That's the original mounting points. That needs to go. And yeah, we need to cut that whole section out down there. And then see where we are at once the rear part's through. Yeah. I think it's just going to be cut this whole thing up. This won't be going in today, but milestone achieved with the engine in place. So yeah, more than happy with that. And just need to also find a place, as we don't have much room, for the transmission cooler. And I would have to wait for this to see. My idea would be to mount it on an angle in this gap, but you have the control arm rods that come out of there. So it can't hang too low, but it depends how far those rods come out, how much space we have to get it in that gap. But that's not an issue for now. So okay, so with that, reaching this milestone, that is it for this episode. Yeah, a lot more work than I had anticipated for that transmission. I was really hoping that we were going to get that in without having to tunnel. And it doesn't need a huge tunnel, but it does need an extra tunnel. So yeah, that'll be in the next one. But that is it for now. I hope you enjoyed following along. As ever, subscribe if you are enjoying it. Then you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. And in that episode, it will be getting that transmission on the car. We have one issue. The internal heater core sits pretty much right on top of the existing transmission tunnel. I'm hoping once I've cut it out we don't have to relocate that we still have enough room, but probably I'm going to have to relocate that. With the luck that we're having so far, with everything having to be cut away and making that tunnel, then probably we're going to have to relocate that heater core. And at the end of it, compared to everything else, that is not that big a job. So we will see that in the next episode as well. And yeah, see you then.